Code of Silence is built on one simple principle. When it comes to successful hunting, everything matters. That's why we've spent hundreds of hours developing an apparel line that works hard to provide a true advantage in the field. Our priorities are simple. Improve your hunting effectiveness by offering products that seamlessly blend into natural surroundings, remain silent in all conditions, and provide superior warmth and comfort. Code of Silence, because everything matters.
Code of Silence is unique in that it's delivering on really what we think are the four key points of functionality: quietness, warmth, concealment, fit, and function. Whitetail hunting is not a complex sport. I mean, if you can stay warm, you can stay quiet, you have the functionality to store your gear, be able to move, and stay concealed, that's really all it takes. But as simple as that sounds, there wasn't a line of clothing that was doing that. Been in the hunting clothing industry really the bulk of my career, built an awful lot of clothes, and I worked at Cabela's for over 30 years and was in charge of hunting clothing for most of those 30 years, and super avid hunter, and worn an awful lot of clothes throughout my whole hunting career and whole life. And all the clothing I built said there is not really a go-to. The hunter needed something that was a more holistic solution for the needs they had to be successful in the field.
Looking at camo patterns on the retail, on the walls, and I'm like, man, it may look good in the store, but it looks terrible in the woods. If you got your eyes on a deer and then you take your eyes off of it, you can almost lose it if you try to go back to it. There's a reason for that, because it doesn't shine at you, it doesn't pop at you. We wanted to build a product that is an asset when you're in the field and not a liability.
I've always said there's a difference in a deer looking at you and a deer looking through you. And since wearing S18 camo, I can honestly say the deer look through you. November the 8th, I was sitting cool, calm, just very, very cold morning. So this buck came running right in and he stopped, basically right where I'm standing. The three reasons why I wear Code of Silence are: number one is the S18 camo. In my opinion, it is the best camo pattern out there. Number two is mobility. You no longer have to bulk up and really layer up to stay warm. You can get through a lot more this season wearing a lot less. And number three is just the pure quietness of it. I'm a firm believer, had I not been wearing this, I never would have killed the buck that I did. What a framey deer though. This is perfect.
People think about camouflage and say, it's about not getting seen. In our opinion, it's about not getting noticed. Our concealment is different in a lot of different ways. We started with Mother Nature, but we also started with the hunter. Talked to hunters all across the Midwest and came up with an average tree stand height of 14.8 feet. Some 10-footers and some 37-footers, but that's the average stand height as we know it.
And then you take a 6-foot person and you put halfway up at waistline and you're 17.8 and round that up to 18 and it's S18.
And then we looked at the most common trees and said, what does the branch and the elements in the woods look like at that 17.8 foot mark? And that drove the element composition in the pattern. But representing that on fabric is the next most important thing. And just because my pattern looks like the woods from a componentry standpoint, and just because it looks like the woods from a color standpoint, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to look like the woods from a light reflectance standpoint. Light absorbency wasn't, something on the whiteboard that said, hey, we have to deliver on light absorbency. We definitely wanted something that was a different level of camouflage and concealment that we were able to achieve with the leading brands out there. Until we actually saw the results from our initial prototypes, said we got something here way bigger than we thought. And we got in the lab, comparing that to normal camouflages, it was jaw-dropping. we can change the game. Our differentiation has always been about delivering on every necessity of clothing. Best way to make it quiet. What's the best way to make you warm on stand? And what's the best way to keep you concealed? What are the best features and functions this coat needs to have? What is the price we can sell this at and still be successful?
We've decided what you really need in the woods and what we want to have in the woods, and we went with that.
Camouflage fabrics have been about, mimicking the woods. They've done that fairly well from a color and from a pattern standpoint, but not from a composition standpoint. So that difference is just as obvious to a deer or to any animal for that matter as it would be if there was a color or a pattern difference.
Some of the most expensive and popular hunting clothes on the market today are made of synthetic fiber. It tends to reflect light rather than absorb it like wool. I prefer Coat of Silence wool garments because they do absorb light and blend with the woods. A garment might look great in the store or in an ad, but if it's made of synthetics, it could be giving you a problem in the woods. Coat of Silence eliminates that problem. I also like Coat of Silence S18 Camouflage, which I'm wearing here. It blends with a wide variety of backgrounds. If you're a serious hunter, I highly recommend Coat of Silence because it gives you the best advantage no matter what the situation.
Just a once-in-a-lifetime deer, and to be able to take him with traditional equipment is just absolutely unbelievable. Just an absolute monarch of a deer.
Woods are 100% organic. They're 100% porous. They're 100% light absorbing. So anything I'm going to do to contradict that would be bad. If we just printed things like everyone else did, we would not get the benefit out of the camouflage pattern that we wanted to. We dye at the fiber level, and then our camouflage pattern is actually knit. And so we take our 4 colors in the pattern we have in an organic yarn and knit them to create texture. This is going to allow you to absorb light versus reflect it. It also is going to create a deeper texture, which is going to mimic the woods in a bigger way. The results we were seeing, and not just us, but the friends we had were like, holy cow, this is like completely different. We suddenly realized that the concealment side and the texture side / light absorbency side was a bigger deal. What we have is unique, and we definitely think it's absorbing light. When you put it in a lab, it is plain as the nose on your face on not just why we're good, but why other camouflages, other fabrics are not good.
We're gonna do nature first. So this is just a leaf right here showing here. So I'm gonna capture this and then we're gonna compare. So blue line's gonna be nature and going to a synthetic printed fabric. So ideally this needs to be mimicking nature. So in comparison to a printed fabric, highly synthetic fibers, huge deviation there. We focus on using fabrics that have a high absorbency or low light reflectancy. And this is the Berber, right? So I'm testing your Berber first.
Because it's jacquard, I think,
Yep.
just because it has a higher organic component. That's what's keeping it down.
Yep.
The differences we saw in taking pieces of environment, i.e. leaves, and looking at the absorbency that we were seeing in a lab environment, comparing that to normal camouflages, it was jaw-dropping.
Nature actually looks like this.
Yep.
And you even said you can quantify what nature looks like.
Yep.
And that light absorbency story that we are able to mimic within the clothing is a game changer. You know, that deer that you've been scouting for a year, maybe even a couple years, and walks right in front of your stand, you don't want to question any of your gear. You're focused on executing that shot. And clothing is part of your success.
We were so, I guess, excited about the visual performance of the product.
I think we outkicked our coverage on the visual side.
But on the quietness side, having a clothing line that was quiet in all aspects and all temperatures, that was not, overly bulky, was harder than we thought.
Yep. When we're archery guys, one of the first things that come to your mind is being quiet, right? A lot of garments that are quiet at 70 degrees, but I don't hunt in 70 degrees very often. You need it to be quiet when it's 10. And our technologies within the garment allow that.
And there's so many different types of quiet. I mean, we've, talked about this, and there's quiet walking into the tree stand. There's quiet climbing up. There's quiet when you're against the bark of a tree. There's quiet when you're trying to pull your bow back. And any little piece of that system or that deliverable that goes wrong, and it's going to be something that blows the deal. Deer don't care where the noise is coming from.
Coming from a spot and stock bow hunter's perspective, I am always in, dry, dead stuff, whether it be tumbleweeds, sunflowers, grasses. And I mean, you can literally move through that type of habitat without making any noise. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. The noise factor on it, it is pretty well non-existent. So the cool part about the camo for me and my experience with it this year was went after a buck that I knew pretty well, and the sun was super, super low, and it had me lit up like a Christmas tree. Drew back, executed the shot, and he ran probably about 80 to 100 yards and fell over. And for a camouflage that's developed for a tree to work that well on the ground has truly changed the game for me and what I do.
Silence is a big deliverable and highly important factor of the line. So you're not going to see any Velcro in our garments. So you're going to catch on things. You're not going to see any snaps that are rattling when you're not buttoned up in this piece. Our windproof barrier, for example, is a woven technology, which is a fabric technology versus a laminate technology. So its performance in this room at 70 degrees is going to be the same as it is outside this morning at 8 degrees.
Laminates are synthetic, obviously, and when they get cold, they tend to get stiff, and then they rub against the outer shell, or they're connected to the outer shell, and just everything gets rigid.
It really is built to perform in all aspects, whether that's keeping you quiet, not just the surface of the material, all the findings, interior linings to be comprehensively quiet at a level that's going to be flawless. Definitely something we deliver on.
I've been wearing Code of Silence apparel for the past 2 seasons. So I've known Ev for a long time, and when he started this apparel company, I was really excited to be one of the first guys that he worked with. My initial thoughts on Code of Silence were how neutral the color tones are and how well it blends into just about any fall environment. Very quiet. Obviously, with the styling and all the insulation, it's very warm. And since I film my hunts now, there's 2 of us up there. And with both of us wearing this camouflage, that gives us an extra edge. It's hard to put 2 people into a tree, and myself and my cameraman have yet to be spotted once in the tree. The buck that I shot on October 31st, 2022, we had no more than gotten into the tree and gotten settled than the buck that I was hunting showed up on the upper end of the field. He moved into position, then he just stayed there until the rest of the deer started to come out that evening. And once the does showed up, he came down into the field and started chasing them around. A small buck came in behind the tree, and the doe started going in that direction. And the buck that I was hunting, he saw that younger buck, and I'm sure that he saw him as something of an adversary, and he was going to come down there and run him out. So he came jogging down, running down the length of that bean field. You know, just like that, I mean, less than 2 hours on stand that afternoon, and well before the end of legal shooting time, I had that buck on the ground. When the rut is on, you just gotta hunt. Pointing right up to my stand. It's not very far. It's extra reassurance to know that the clothing that you're wearing, the outerwear that you're wearing, blends in so well, especially when you put 2 people up in the tree. That's a big challenge to get past the deer when there's 2 of you in the tree.
One of the core principles I think that's always defined ability to stay warm is layering. And for some people that means, you know, what I put on underneath. For some people that means how I layer when I get to my tree, how I control moisture. It's a huge deal. Our use of breathability and everything we have, from the inner layers to the insulations, controlling moisture, definitely unique. It's about elimination of moisture, not trying to reduce it in our minds. And so we spend an awful lot of time trying to figure out how our garments are going to breathe. So whether you're moving around in the woods or you're sitting there for long sits, it's going to do the same thing. It would be really simple to build something that was a sub-zero type suit. All you have to do is just add insulation. As soon as you do that, you have something you really can't effectively hunt in, particularly draw a bow or climb a tree. We take a different approach, use layering within a layer.
So this is a 4-layer garment. It has an outer shell of our Berber wool. It has a wind seal layer. It has a layer of insulation we call windsolation, and then it has an interior antimicrobial tricot. So you have 4 layers, but more importantly, you have 3 layers of air inside of those 4 layers. And so air is still the best insulator we know. In order to maximize thermal efficiency, we maximize breathability without giving up weather protection. You know, we have an outer shell. This is a 300-gram Berber wool, very warm, very breathable. This is our wind seal barrier that we put in. This is going to effectively stop the wind, but it's also going to effectively allow this fabric to let perspiration out and keep your body cool so it will not perspire. This is the insulation layer I talked about. So this is a compressed insulation. Also, as the name would imply, it's very windproof, but very breathable. But that breathability that keeps moisture from forming on the inside is just as important as anything that keeps moisture from coming in from the outside.
So in an effort to deliver, 100% performance when you need it the most, some unique things we do that I think are really a good metaphor for the company and the difference we try to make. So this is our Zone 7 garment. This is camo lined hood. We did not want the inside of the hood, which is typically brown, to be a weak point whether you had that hood up or if it was flopping in the back with the solid color out. So a little extra time there. This is a really unique cuff system. I've probably done thousands of cuffs, and this is my favorite one I've ever done. It has camo on the outside, but it doesn't have, fasteners like snaps or Velcro, but still has an elastic panel in this to adjust to whether you want to go over the wrist or over a glove or inside of a glove.
One other thing with the jacket too, that on the inside of the arms, we're archery guys at heart, right? So we use the fleece wool on the inside of the arms. So you don't have the loft here, and that reduces the drag when you're drawing your bow or moving your arms. And then on the pants, fleece wool at the bottom of the legs also.
There's just an extreme commitment to have perfection in everything we do. And I think it just oozes of the fact that we've been out there and done an awful lot of it.
It's made by authentic people. It's hunters that build hunting clothing. We're just fair people offering a really high quality product and trying to treat people the way we want to be treated.
I think the confidence came on the value side as much
in the
as
belief in your product.
So it's not only can we make a better mousetrap, we can make a better mousetrap that costs less than the leading mousetrap. You can hunt to have a deer of a certain caliber your entire lifetime, and it's going to come down to seconds. Eliminating those liabilities and creating solutions is a passion of all of ours. It's a holistic solution that's going to make a difference for you in the field, and we love doing it, and we're never going to stop.
When it comes to hunting, concealment is everything. At Code of Silence, we've built our reputation on mimicking nature in every possible way. Our promise, you'll be seen less than ever before, guaranteed. How? With our innovative neutral LR technology and S18 camo. These technologies simulate natural shapes, textures, and colors, matching nature's light absorbency. The result is a revolutionary level of concealment that truly blends into your environment. We've also refined thermal efficiency, keeping you warmer so you can stay out longer. Our products leverage air, the best natural insulator, to keep you warm without adding bulk. Our advanced design techniques ensure maximum breathability. Whether you're layering with our Fairwinds collection for early season, using the Zone 7 Versa and Dialed In series for all-purpose performance, or braving extreme cold with our Cold Fall series, we've got you covered. These are the warmest products you'll ever wear, guaranteed.